Okay, that's Scott Fitzgerald week. Week 8, we have 2 presentations. Let me see here. We've got Katie doing Babylon Revisited and Brittany doing Winter Dreams. And so also note in course documents, by the way, that there is a file called the Crack-Up, which is about F. Scott Fitzgerald, partially written by F. Scott Fitzgerald, which will give us some additional background. It's not required reading, but it may help you sort of flesh out some of the issues that you may be seeing as you read our F. Scott Fitzgerald material and watch the presentation. It's pretty short, it's only like 4 pages. But it's by Fitzgerald and people writing about Fitzgerald and his issues with mental illness and so on. So really fascinating essay that's out there. So we've been having some pretty good presentations so far. I just got done viewing our last 2, which if I remember correctly was Nicole and Chris. So good stuff that's there. And so as we progress through the semester, of course, make sure you're watching when your presentation is coming up and everything, and make sure that you're uploading on Monday. Everyone's doing a pretty good job on that. So also, you have a midterm, which is starting on the 28th. And so when you get this message, basically, it should be available for you. And so if you go to the assignments tab, and you will see the midterm, let's see, said by 9 o'clock in the morning on February 28th, or a little bit after 9 on February 28th, the link will be made active to your midterm. The midterm is kind of like a prolonged reading quiz that is me making sure that you're not only reading materials but you're paying attention to the presentations, because what you'll see is I don't ask questions for your midterm. Instead, what I'm going to do is give you a prompt, and so I will say, like, I'll just have a word. I'll just say masculinity, okay, and you'll be expected to put together 3 or 4 instances basically. And so when you start up your midterm, you'll get the instructions, but each of the prompts will require 300-word responses that come directly from your textbook. And so what'll happen is you'll say, okay, well, masculinity has changed over time from this short story to this short story to this play, something like that. And so then one thing I'll be watching is to make sure that you're citing the material. Now, you don't need to worry about like a works cited page or anything like that, because we're all using the same textbook. But when I say cite the material, I mean that once you have a quote, like you say, okay, in this story, this person says this, okay, short quote, not a huge one, but a short quote, then you should have the page number in parentheses right after that. Parentheses, 205, parentheses, period, right? Just like MLA style, basically. And you'll find that each of those short answers is, 25 points. 2 things to note. If it's grammatically bad, in other words, if you're lowercasing your I's, which I don't know why people are suddenly doing that, but if you're lowercasing your I's pretty frequently, or if you're not citing your material, in other words, there's no parenthetical cites that take me to the page numbers, or if you like do something like misspell the author's name repeatedly, then I automatically take 20 points off of that potential question, and that's 20 points out of 25. And so that's really where the stressful part of the test is. Otherwise, it does say, and I will say this, it does say that you can save and come back to it later, but that doesn't really happen in Blackboard. I can check the option as much as I want, but what's happened in the past is somebody has gone and saved it and come back and found that it was submitted. And so I would say give yourself a uninterrupted moment of time, I guess, and the time limit is just over 2 hours. And so you should be able to knock it out if you've been keeping up with your readings and taking notes and watching the presentations. Should be able to knock it out in about an hour. Anything beyond that, and you're beating a dead horse, or you obviously are going through everything because you didn't take any notes. And so kind of keep that in mind. Once it times out, it times out. So if you hit 2 hours and you have only done 1 question, then that's going to be your grade for the midterm, okay? And so just kind of keep all that in mind. All of this, of course, is in the instructions that start when you begin your midterm. But you have a full week to do it, from the 28th to whatever that, to the 5th of March, and it should be available to you that entire time. I give you a little bit of a grace period on it, but don't don't screw around, basically. Don't wait until the last minute to do it. But again, set aside about a 2-hour block. Think about some of the big themes that we've been talking about, things I've mentioned, things that you've seen in your supplementary reading, things that have been appearing in your presentations, all of that stuff, notes, etc., etc. Okay, and so all of that's going to be available for you again starting on the 28th, which is Sunday, and will be available again until that Saturday, March 5th. But otherwise, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Everything should be good to go. Just kind of keep doing what you're doing. When we go on spring break on the 7th, we won't be doing anything together in class per se, and then we'll pick it up on the other side with County Cullen and Willa Cather. Other than that, I will see you guys around. Make sure that you're keeping up with all of the material, and don't forget about your midterm. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.